This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We end today's show with Palestinian activist Leqaa Kordia. She was recently freed after spending a year in an ICE jail in Texas, arrested in March of last year as part of the Trump administration's campaign targeting activists and others who advocated for Palestinian rights. Leqaa Kordia grew up in the occupied West Bank, now lives in New Jersey. She says Israeli forces have killed more than 200 members of her extended family in Gaza. In April 2024, Leqaa was arrested during a Gaza solidarity protest at Columbia University. The charges were dropped the following day. But in March of last year, Leqaa was detained after meeting with immigration officials in New Jersey voluntarily. Her arrest came less than a week after federal immigration agents arrested the Columbia student protester organizer, Mahmoud Khalil. He was jailed for 104 days. Leqaa Kordia is believed to have been the last person held in detention from the Trump administration's crackdown on pro-Palestinian campus activists. While in custody, she was hospitalized in February following her first seizure. In mid-March, she was freed after a judge ordered her release on a $100,000 bond. Leqaa Kordia joins us now in our studio. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's quite something to see you across the table. We've reported on you for so long. Leqaa, how are you feeling? How are you doing right now? A year in an ICE jail. We'd like you to describe your experience and how you were first taken.
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's such an honor to be sitting with you today. How am I feeling now? I'm feeling blessed, grateful, but at the same time, the way that I feel it's bittersweet, knowing that I left behind many courageous, innocent women and men who deserve nothing but freedom. They've done nothing wrong but dreaming. The last year was tough. It was long. It was. I've seen and experienced a lot of injustice. It's something was very disappointing to be there in the first place. I shouldn't be there in the first place.
You met with ICE or immigration agents in New Jersey. It was soon after Mahmoud Khalil was taken, so we knew that this was taking place, that people were being picked up. And describe what happened then. That was in New Jersey, in a detention center?
It was in a detention center in Newark, yes. Yes, it was supposed to be like just a meeting, regular meeting with my lawyer, along with my lawyer with the ICE agents. It led to arrest. They took me in an unmarked car directly to the airport, and they have informed my lawyer that I'm going to upstate New York, but they took me to Texas instead.
And what did they tell you in those early days about why they were holding you?
They were saying just it's something, it's an issue with my application. So I have a petition from my U.S. citizen mother to get that green card, and I have an approved I-130. So they just told me that you have an issue with your application. So basically they were lying to me.
And while you were in custody, you were hospitalized following a seizure. Your legal team said your legs were chained to your bed, and you were denied access to your lawyer or family during that time. Could you talk about that?
Yes. So a few days before I experienced that seizure, actually, I was very sick. I've never had a fever like this in my whole life. I was extremely sick, and no one cared about me. The medical care didn't come to see me. I wasn't provided any medicine or anything. So a few days later, I fell down and I experienced my first ever seizure in my whole life. I was rushed to the hospital. The entire time I was chained to a hospital bed. We're talking about chains, not handcuffs. I was begging them to just at least like free my hand, just like I feel weak, it's heavy. I was told that they can't, and when I asked to speak to the lieutenant said, no, we can't move it. And I asked why, and she said, because I said so. The experience was horrible. I felt like I'm an animal. I'm not a human being. I'm not being treated like a human being, being chained to a hospital bed. If I want to use a bathroom or a shower or anything, I'll be chained. I asked to speak to my mother. I was denied access to my mother. I asked to speak with my lawyers. I was denied access to my lawyers. I told them, fine, can you please inform my lawyers or my family? They refused. So basically, I felt like I'm being kidnapped.
You were detained at the Prairieland Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas. Can you describe what the conditions were like inside and tell us some of the stories of the women that you were imprisoned with?
So I always say, to speak about the conditions, we need days to speak about few of the conditions. First of all, it's a jail system. So the word detention, it's actually very nice to describe the place. It's dungeons, jail. Like, for example, we were in a room that's the capacity is supposed to be 37, but we were like 66, sometimes 100. I slept on the floor for 3 months myself. There wasn't any bed, any available bunks for me. There were, we were most of the time overcrowded. We didn't really have access to the sunlight daily. The healthcare, it's horrible. They don't have doctors, they don't have nurses. Whoever is working in healthcare, they're like under the nurse. One time they gave me a shot, or actually they wanted to take a blood from me for like, blood test and all of that, and my hand actually swallowed for almost like 2 weeks. And when I told them, like, can you please do something, they said, it is what it is. For example, the showers also they stopped working for almost 2 weeks, and when we kept complaining, like, the showers are not working, that's how people get sick, we were told it is what it is also. Every time we complain about something, we would be like faced by like, shut up or stop complaining, or you should be thankful for all of this. The water have things swimming in it. We would sleep on a paper thin mattress. There were pregnant ladies, for example. Some ladies will have their pregnancy, like a risk pregnancy. Nobody will take care of them. Like, they weren't being seen by a doctor or anybody. The food there is horrible. We used to call it dog's food. And even like some of the detainees with me, they actually own dogs, and they would say, I don't even feed this food to my dog. So like, if you ask for medical care or anything, most of the time it will be rejected. I had elderlies with me, 75 years old, 60-something years old, who've been in America for like 50 years or more, doing nothing, going to regular check-in, following the law, doing the right thing.
These are civil offenses.
Yes, absolutely. What I've seen there, it's actually daughters, mothers, doctors, teachers, workers, like, that's what I've seen there. I've seen girls 16 and 17 years old. I've seen a girl, she told me that they stormed her school, and they literally handcuffed her in the front of her classmates. The humiliation. This actually, like, the detention center's conditions and the ICE agents' methods, like, brought to my mind, to my memories, a lot of bad memories from the West Bank and how Israeli soldiers would treat the Palestinian prisoners or Palestinian in general. The humiliation, the way of like abusing, like mentally torturing. ICE dungeons are systematically built to break people mentally, to break people down, to make you give up, to make you beg to be deported, even though like you're gonna face a lot of injustice in your own country sometimes. But yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned your time in the West Bank. You've been living in the U.S. for nearly a decade. After leaving the occupied West Bank, where you grew up with your father, you came to this country to reunite with your mother, who's a U.S. citizen. Talk about that, your time, the comparisons you're raising, your time as a child in the West Bank.
And we just have 30 seconds.
I mean, I grew up under a military occupation. I grew up getting used to, if I want to go to school, I would go through a checkpoint, a military checkpoint. I was 9 years old, and I woke up when an Israeli soldier pointing his rifle on my face and laughing, literally laughing. I've seen my father being humiliated many times by the Israeli soldier. I experienced bombing, gas bombs. I've seen people dying in front of my eyes. Like a father was shopping with his daughter and he's just got killed for nothing.
In part one of our conversation, you talked about how you were taken. You talked about the conditions in the jail. If you could go back in time, your mom's a U.S. citizen, you came here about a decade ago, to the West Bank where you lived, and what your experience was like there, and why you protested at Columbia University. You were part of the pro-Palestinian protests.
As I mentioned before, I grew up under a military occupation. I grew up in apartheid. I grew up in a place where if I go from a city to a city, or if I want to go to my school or college, I have to go through a military checkpoint, where like frequently there are a lot of colonial settlements also. Like you have to deal with the Israeli soldiers and the Israeli settlers at the same time. So my life in the West Bank was basically just like living under the occupation for daily life, which is like, it becomes normal. It shouldn't be normal, but it becomes our daily life. This is our daily life, literally. I was separated actually from my own family in Gaza for many years, even before 2023. The siege on Gaza was like, it's now actually more than 20 years. So because of that, I couldn't visit my family in Gaza, and my family, they couldn't visit us in the West Bank. My father had a job opportunity in the West Bank, so that's why he lived in the West Bank with us. Now, if I see my cousins or my uncles in the street, maybe I'm not gonna recognize them because of that. So experiencing all of this injustice, experiencing the military curfew and raids and all of this, like I grew up seeing people dying. I grew up on like my friends and classmates being arrested and thrown into jail, tortured, starved, abused every single day. This is my life as a Palestinian. I had no choice. I have no choice but to speak up for my freedom, for the freedom of my people, of my family. And why did I took to the streets in 2024? Actually, Columbia protest, it wasn't the only protest that I participated in. I participated in many protests in Palestine and in America, continued in America, because basically the Palestinian struggle and the genocide, it didn't start in 2023. In my opinion, the genocide of the Palestinian people started even before the 1948. I've lost 200 family members since 2023, but I've also lost other family members before 2023. That's why it's not only about 2023. Yes.
Let me ask you, when in March 8th it was, of 2025, Mahmoud Khalil was arrested as he was coming back from iftar with his wife, Noor Abdallah, who is a dentist, and they took him. They took Mohsen Madawi, right, when he went to his interview, his immigration interview in Vermont. As you were observing all this, what were your thoughts?
Basically, as a Palestinian, I grew up on our voices being silenced all the time. Anybody who dares to speak up, whether a Palestinian or anybody who supports Palestinian rights to exist or to be free, our voices would be silenced. So this is actually, it's sad that it wasn't surprising. It wasn't something that was, oh my God, it's surprising. It's sad. As I said before, it shouldn't be normal, but it's normal. Apparently, everybody has the right to speak up. Everybody has the right to protest, but Palestinians. Freedom of speech comes to Palestine and ends. Freedom of speech comes to Palestinians and it ends. It pains me. It's really disappointing.
Now, when you were at Prairie Land in Alvarado, Texas, you were held for a year. You had your first seizure, went to the hospital. Although we talked about this in part one of our conversation, explain what happened to you there and talk about what this brought back for you, the kind of experiences you were having in a prison in Texas in terms of your own background in the West Bank.
So talking about the seizure, currently, by the way, I have to take this heavy medication, anti-seizure medication for at least 2 years.
What causes? Had you had seizures growing up?
Never. Before the detention, I've never experienced seizure in my whole life. The doctor diagnosed this lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, and stress, which is, of course, I'm in jail. I spoke before about like how the food is horrible. They didn't give us vegetables. They didn't give us fruits. The water, you don't feel like you want to drink water even because like of how dirty the water is. The conditions in general, it's very inhumane. I can explain or like describe this by saying it's a human crisis. There are children in ICE detentions where, by the way, like also like brought this memory of Palestine, me growing up in Palestine, where I would see my classmates will be taken as prisoners into Israeli jails. Like I'm talking about 13 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, which basically what ICE is doing. I've seen and experienced a lot of we've heard also like a lot of like Palestinian prisoners being held for years without trials, and this what's also ICE is doing. I've seen people being held for months without any trial, any court. So it will always bring these bad memories, sad memories of Palestine, because there is a lot of similarities of Israel methods and ICE methods.
You've described being chained at the hospital after your seizure. Do you mean handcuffed?
No, I mean chained like an animal. The handcuff will be attached to a chain. It was a heavy chain. I wish I speak better English so I can describe it actually better. But it was very, very heavy chain.
Your hands and feet?
Yes. one of my hands and my feet. My feet, I'm sorry. So it was very heavy, and I was very weak. I was sick. So I couldn't even like lift my hand. So I was begging them, can you please, just my hand? Like, if you don't want me to run away or something, I don't even have the energy to run away. And yeah.
Meanwhile, a judge at least 3 times ordered your release. You ultimately released on a $100,000 bond, and I know you can't get into legal details, but what did that mean to you when you heard that the judge had ordered your release once, and then twice, and then 3 times?
I was very disappointed, because this is not the America that I heard of. The America that I heard of, it was like everybody has the right to speak up. Everybody has the right, like a freedom of speech. It's the First Amendment. So for the government actually to appeal the immigration judge decision twice, and they appealed a federal judge decision recommendation once also, for like, and they were accusing me of me being dangerous to the community. For what? For calling for a ceasefire, for calling for my, like, the dignity for my people and my family, for a free Palestine. This was very disappointing for me.
How much could you take in of the support for you from the outside, and how important was that?
It was very important. It was very important, and I said it before. I told the people, please don't underestimate anything. Don't say like what a letter can make. No, it can make a lot. It puts.
If someone writes a letter.
Yes. Even if you can't send a letter, a prayer can make an effect. Prayers are powerful. I'm a very faithful person. I believe in faith, and I believe in the power of prayer. I received big support of the Muslim community in Dallas, and this is another point. They literally brought me all the way from New Jersey to Texas to isolate me from my community and my people, and basically to make me feel lonely and forgotten, isolated, and all of that. But they didn't know that they brought me to the strongest Muslim community in America. So their kindness and their love, their support, it was beyond any words. Not just the Muslim community. I've received a tremendous amount of support from all around the United States, from the students, from protesters, from housewives, from from everybody, everyone in the community around America.
When you finally got out of jail in these last weeks, have people talked to you about you being an example for them, both of strength, but of why they're afraid to speak out because of how hard the state came down on you?
Yes, I've heard this. I've heard this even before being arrested. Like, people would warn me sometimes, like, don't go to these protests, don't talk to people a lot about Palestine and all of that, because I told you before that we're used to our voices being silenced. And when I got out of the jail, also I would hear things like that. You made us proud. Your strength, and it's inspiring, and all of that. And I'm like, without your support, actually, I couldn't be standing here. I needed you. I needed your support, and that's what I'm doing for my friends who are still behind bars.
Do you want to tell us one of their stories?
There is this lady, her name is Noor Salman. She's originally from Iraq. She came to America as a refugee. She has a green card.
Just from Iraq?
She's from Iraq originally, but she came to America as a refugee when she was like maybe 7 years old. She's married to a U.S. citizen. like all her life in America, like she grew up in America all her life. She didn't need to go to check in or anything. As I mentioned before, she has a green card. One time she received an email saying that she needs to go for a check-in with ICE. And she's like, okay, everything is fine, all my papers are fine. So she went there. As soon as she arrived there, they put shackles on her.
During her check-in?
Yes, they put shackles on her. They didn't explain anything, and they took her to an ICE detention somewhere in Texas. And they've been transferring her. So now currently she's not in Pearland. She's somewhere else where like we actually didn't know where she is for like 3 days or something or so. Basically, ICE don't have any allegations against her, nothing. It's just her being there. Her mental health has like gone very bad for like the past 6 months. She's lost a lot of weight. It's just like her story. It's one example of many other stories, many different stories. I remember being with this old lady. She's 75 years old. She spent more than 50 years in America. She used to go for her regular check-ins. She used to pay the money, and everything is by the law. She didn't do anything wrong. Also, during her routine check-in, she was arrested. All these elderlies, they will tell me one thing: all what I want is to die among my family. That's all what I want.
Leqaa, I wanted to end with the words of Mahmoud Khalil talking about you. This is a portion of an op-ed written by Mahmoud Khalil, who was taken by immigration agents on March 8th, International Women's Day, 2025. It was published in The Guardian during the holy month of Ramadan. The piece is headlined, "To My Palestinian Sister in ICE Detention, I will carry you until you are free." He writes, quote, "We refuse to let the world forget us. We speak about our right to live, our right to return, our right to exist, and for that they try to silence us. Your detention, my detention, the detentions of so many others, they are all pieces of the same story. A story of a people who've been displaced, erased, demonized, yet continue to rise every time the world tells us to disappear. We were born into a struggle we never asked for, yet we carry it because our ancestors did and because our children must not. Palestinian women have always known this in their bones. They are the ones who organized communities when the men were imprisoned or exiled, who defended their homes with the tools available to them, rarely more than presence and persistence. They are the ones who went back to the olive groves the morning after soldiers and settlers had torn through them. They have always been the spine of this struggle. You are in that lineage, Leqaa, not as a symbol, as yourself." That's a portion of Mahmoud Khalil's words to you during Ramadan when you were still in an ICE prison. As we wrap up now, first, have you gotten to spend time with Mahmoud and his wife, Noor Abdullah? And what are your plans for the future?
First of all, I remember one of my lawyers reading Mahmoud's letter to me, and I couldn't stop crying for maybe 2 minutes. I was very moved, it was very emotional. We're like, we've never seen each other before, we've never known each other before, but we are, like, Palestine bring us together. We have the same cause. We fight for the same cause. We fight for the freedom of Palestinians. So yes, I did meet Mahmoud several times. He's a wonderful human being. He's very humble, down to earth.
He had dinner at Gracie Mansion with the mayor, with Zoran Mamdani.
Yes, he did. I saw
on the anniversary.
I saw this. Him and his wife are amazing human being. I believe that his voice is very valuable. Our voices, all the Palestinian voices matter. He will continue to fight his case. His case is not done yet. He's continuing to fight for his freedom. It's not over yet for him, as it's not over yet for me. Me being released from an ICE dungeon, it's just the first step. My case is still going on. I'm still subjected to be deported to Israel, by the way, which is, for a Palestinian in general, it's a death penalty. And for a outspoken Palestinian, it's absolutely a death penalty. So I have no choice but to continue fighting for my freedom. I have no choice but to continue fighting as a Palestinian, because our existence, it's resistance. Me as a Palestinian, just me breathing, it's me resisting. We have no choice. They put us in this situation. And we're going to continue fight.
Leqaa Kordia, I want to thank you for being with us. Palestinian woman, a protester who was released from a Texas ICE jail last month after a year in detention.
Thank you.
To see part 1 of our discussion, go to democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.